1.5 years ago, in April 2024, I found out about this concept device and I got so excited by it. By last month, I was pretty sure it was never going to arrive because of constant delays and changes to the plans. But eventually, it arrived, and you can see I'm wearing it right now. I'm going to tell you about the device itself and the app in a little bit, but first, I want to share a backstory about why I bought this and who I think should buy it. You might be here because you're really excited and want to know whether it's worth it. So let me start by talking about that. I think, as of today, you should only buy this if you consider yourself an early adopter kind of person, someone who's excited about technology and what it can do and what it could do. But if you want to wear this day to day and take it to meetings and rely on it to take notes and transcribe your day, I don't think it's ready yet. When it works very well. But sometimes it doesn't work. If you cannot rely on it, then it's effectively just a toy or a demo, a preview of what it could be, but it's not there yet. And to be clear, most of the time it works pretty well, especially if you only speak in English. But if it doesn't work even 5% of the time, you cannot possibly rely on it. You never know whether what you're saying is being picked up, whether it's going to sync with your phone, or if you're going to lose all of your recordings. If you're wondering if you should buy this right now and you just want this to work, then I would say wait a little bit. All the issues that I have with it are software issues, so it's likely that they're going to be fixed. Let me take a step back and tell you why I bought the pendant and what it's supposed to do. Limitless is the same company that makes Rewind. I tried Rewind many years ago and it was phenomenal. So I thought Limitless must be just as good, if not better. Rewind is an app for macOS that runs constantly in the background and takes a video of everything that you do on your screen. It also records your microphone at the same time. The idea is that instead of it being a very long recording, you can search audio and everything that you saw on your screen. So in this example, I might have seen this tweet at some point where it says founders are paying themselves less in the market. A week has passed. And I remember that stat, but I don't remember if I saw it in my browser or maybe somebody sent it as an image. Who knows? I just remember seeing it somewhere. What you can do with Rewind is search and write something like founder's salary. And then it's going to find that specific moment in time when you saw that. This could be an image because it uses OCR. It could be something that you heard. Maybe I'm on my computer and at the same time I'm talking with somebody else. And this person tells me, did you know that founders pay themselves blah, blah, blah? And Rewind catches that because it's also recording your microphone at the same time that it's recording your screen. And it's going to surface that later with the advent of LLMs like ChatGPT. It also became possible to ask it questions like, what did I discuss with John last week? Or what was that exciting travel app that I saw? All those things became possible with Rewind. And I was actually using it on my own computer, so I can vouch for it. It worked really well. When they announced Limitless, it was basically a meeting summarizer. I tried it, but it didn't work that well. And I also didn't see the point using Limitless when I could just use Rewind, which also recorded my meetings in addition to everything else. The reason I stopped using Rewind, even though it worked amazingly well, was that it used up a lot of my storage space. Considering it was recording literally everything, in practical terms, I had limited storage space. That meant I couldn't keep using it forever, so I just stopped. But then they announced the Pendant. Right? And the Pendant is a device, this one, that you can wear all the time if you want, and it just follows you throughout the day. It's kind of like Rewind, but for your real life instead of the things that happen on your computer. Now, I know that for some people this idea is really dystopian, but to me, it was really appealing because I'm so forgetful. I forget important things. I forget things that I said I would do at work. I forget when friends of mine share important details about their lives, and then I feel really bad asking them, hey, what was that thing that you started studying again? I forget critical information. I'm a bit embarrassed to admit, but it's true. Then there are more petty matters, like if I'm talking with my partner and they say, you never told me that, and I'm pretty sure that I told them the previous day. I thought, wow, it would be so cool if I had proof that I said that. I know that some of you have alarm bells going off in your brain right now, like, come on, privacy, and this is being sent to servers in who knows where. I think it's the US. But to me, it just sounded really exciting, and it still does. So I pre-ordered the pendant for 100 US dollars in April 2024, plus $30 shipping. That was a total of $130. When this was announced, it was just a concept. There was no physical device that you could actually buy. When it was announced, they said, you just buy the device once and then have transcription forever. Now you're probably thinking, how can you buy something once and then have a software subscription go with it forever if that subscription relies on somebody's server? Servers cost money to run. At the time, I thought maybe the transcription is happening on your phone, to which the pendant connects, or maybe they're giving free subscriptions to as many users as they can support long term, and then eventually they're going to stop it. But what actually ended up happening is that you only get 20 hours of transcription per month. If you want more than that, you have to pay a monthly subscription. So that's a far cry from it's going to record everything and transcribe it for free forever, right? Because 20 hours a month is really nothing. And now those 20 hours means 20 hours when someone is speaking. So if you're sitting here in silence, it doesn't count. It only counts when it's transcribing speech. But during a normal workday, there might be speech going on for at least, say, 4 hours. So 5 days a week in just one work week, this free plan would get filled up and then you don't have any more transcriptions for that whole month. So if you're on the free plan, the only way you could make actual use of that is if you only recorded your meetings. But then if you only record meetings, what is the point of having this device, which is so small and you can clip it on your clothes so that you can take it anywhere? If I just want to record one meeting per day, I can do that on my computer or phone. I don't need this device. So the only way this is useful is if you buy a subscription. We were promised to get everything for free as long as you pay a small one-time fee for the advice. But hey, you need a subscription which costs $300 per year and the next year is $350. I was really excited when the pendant finally arrived in this cute little box. It comes with a necklace that is non-adjustable. You can wear it around your neck and clip the pendant on like this. The pendant itself feels like a really high quality device. It feels good when you hold it. It's very smooth, the weight is just right. And this silicone part feels sturdy and soft. On the inside, there's this soft surface so that when you let it close, it makes a satisfying sound that's not too loud. There's a small constellation of lights right here that you cannot turn off. And the idea is that that makes it harder to spy on people. You can just be recording with your phone. Put your phone on the table. The recorder app is open in the background. You can spy on people just fine. So I don't think this is making it any easier, to be honest. But still, it's there as a security precaution. During bright daylight, you can hardly see the light. But indoors, it's quite clear that you have a digital device that might be recording. Normally, the light is white. Right now, it's blue because I have unpaired it from my phone and I'm going to pair it right now. This is what the Limitless app looks like. I have an Android phone and I had a lot of trouble connecting it with my first phone. This phone that I just bought connected right away. But with my previous phone, it just would not connect. It was extremely frustrating. The customer support was really nice about it. We had a video call where they tried to help me troubleshoot, but in the end, nothing worked. And I had to pair the pendant with somebody else's phone until I got a new phone. If I had no access to another phone, then I wouldn't be able to use this device that I paid $100 for. The iPhone app is the first app that they made and is clearly better maintained. The Android app is very buggy, laggy, slow. The iPhone app is not phenomenal, but it's a lot better. So as always, Android users are second-class citizens. To pair the pendant with this iPhone for the first time, you open the app, log in, and then say set up pendant. Let's see if it's going to work. Found it. That's great. Set up. Done. Okay, so it was very easy on iOS. The firmware is up to date because it was connected to my other phone. To turn the recording on, press it for 2 seconds, and the light opens. To turn it off, press it for 2 seconds again, and it's not recording anymore. While you're talking, if you think of something you should remember, press it once, and it will flash yellow and put a star next to that part of the transcript in your log. Once the pendant is paired, you can see its stats right here. The battery lasts for less than 2 days, so it's best to charge it overnight. What I have found annoying is that the low battery indicator kicks in too late. I might be outside and notice that the light is red, and by then it's too late because I don't have anywhere to charge it. In the settings, you can also adjust the LED brightness. This is the lowest it goes. Recordings are saved on the pendant. So if you're far from your phone, or if the app is not running, you won't lose your recordings. They're stored right here. Every 72 hours, you have to pair it with your phone so the data gets uploaded to the servers. If you don't, the new recordings are going to replace the oldest recordings. You might be wondering if it's possible to plug this into your computer to get access to the MP4 files, and the answer is no. Using it on my Android phone, the app is really buggy. And at one point, there was an issue that required me to delete the app to get it fixed. But if you delete the app, then your pendant gets unpaired. And to pair your pendant again, you have to wipe its storage. So that meant I lost a day or more of recordings because of a software issue. If you could access the recordings by connecting this to a computer, that would not be an issue. But it seems the company, Limitless, does not want you to use this as just a recorder. They want you to use their app so that you pay for the subscription, which sucks. All right, so now let's talk about the reason this device exists: to record your conversations. To see the recordings, you go to the live log. And as you can see, it has transcribed what I was saying before. How this works is that every 10 or 20 minutes, it's going to sync with a pendant and pull the newest things that you said. If I scroll up, I can manually refresh that, which is going to connect to the pendant and upload the latest recordings. Those recordings are transcribed in the servers of the company Limitless. Once that's done, they appear here. If you haven't synced your pendant in a few hours or a day, it takes ages for them to show up here. This time it was pretty fast because I haven't said a lot. Instead of having a running log of every single sentence, it separates what you say into chunks, summarizes those chunks, and creates a summary for a bunch of chunks. So does it make sense? You can see that now while I was talking, this is what I said. So to see the recording, you go blah, blah, blah. This is what I said. But then those are grouped together and you have the summary up top that says explaining the device's operational mechanics. And the same for the things that I said after that. You have what I said and then a small summary of that. And then one layer further up, you have a summary of both of these chunks. I think that's a great way of going about it because this is much more useful if I'm looking for something or if I want to delete something completely. For example, this does not really make sense for me to keep. I don't need it, right? So then I can go here and I can delete it. And the reason you might want to delete some of those is that at the end of the day, it creates what it calls insights. To explain how that works, I should tell you there is an integration within the app with ChatGPT. If you go to the tab that says Ask, that's basically ChatGPT. It lets you change the model. On Android, this toggle does not work at all. Start a conversation just like you would in the ChatGPT app. But this version has access to all of your life logs. You can ask things about your day. But in my experience, it does not work as well. I think it might work better with something recent. I'm reviewing the Limitless Pendant right now. Tell me what I should mention. Throughout the past week, I've been talking about it, and I'm sure I've mentioned some things that I should not forget to include in my review. Please point those out. So as you see, it tries to find the relevant transcripts first by searching for keywords, but those keywords are often incorrect. It's supposed to know who's speaking, but that doesn't work well. Most of the time, it assumes everything I hear is something I personally said, which is not the case. So if I ask it, what was that recipe my mom gave me? It's going to search for mom recipe, but none of those keywords are in the transcripts. So let's say my mom might have said, let me tell you how to make apple pie. The word recipe is not part of that sentence. The app would not know that was said to me by my mom in the first place. And you would imagine that in a situation like that, it might say, sorry, couldn't find that. Can you be more specific? Or you would hope that it would say, I don't know if it's your mom who said it, but you got a recipe about apple pie the other day. But the thing is that sadly, it usually just makes things up. It's going to say, yeah, you got this great recipe about a chocolate cake or something. Making things up is an issue with all LLM. An LLM is a program like ChatGPT or Claude. But there are ways to minimize that. And it seems to me that Limitless has not taken those steps to minimize hallucinations. But let's forget about that for a second and see what it replied this time. It found 10 life logs. I'm pretty sure it's way more, right? Let's see. It found life logs going back to October 30. Maybe that's right. First, it starts with quotes of things that I actually said, which is pretty cool. I remember saying those things because that was today. But as I'm scrolling down, even though it said it accessed the life logs from the previous days, what it wrote here is only based on the things I said today, a few minutes ago. So I'm going to show you some examples of things that I asked it in the past, and I'm going to show you how it did. But first, I want to go back to the daily insights that I was saying. This is where it says no insights yet for today. So what are the insights? The insights are each night, the app creates a new chat by itself, same as going here and starting a chat. It sends a message to ChatGPT on your behalf. What this message says is create today's daily insights page based on my life log entries. That, I presume, is like a key phrase that generates a very specific response. So if I copy that and start a new chat, I might get something that's formatted in a different way, but let's see. All right, you can see I'm getting something different. There's no emojis and there's a different structure. This is a different thing. Even though it looks like a chat you started yourself, it's kind of weird that this is in the chats in the first place. Finding daily insights in the Ask tab doesn't make sense to me. This is a repeating theme with the Pendant and the Limitless app that I think is not well thought out. And that makes sense to an extent. You're figuring things out as you go. You're a new company. You're trying out things that might not work. You might change them. But I feel that they had a lot of time to think this through a bit better. So to me, everything that I see here feels pretty half-baked. I think this is a good example of a daily insights page. It always starts with a summary of what you did that day. Although sometimes it misses some really important things that I'm like, how come it missed that? Even though it was in the transcript, it thinks that it was not important enough to include in the summary, which I would find the most important thing. Sometimes it just leaves it out completely. But something that it does that's really cool is it has a section that says key follow-ups. These are things you said you would do, or ideas you had at the beginning of the new day. The app pulls those from your transcript and creates a list of things you said you would do. To me, that is extremely helpful because I say, oh yeah, I'm going to take care of that, and then I forget. This reminds me, until recently on Android, those were not actionable. So I get this. And then what am I supposed to do? Either I do that thing right then, or I have to use my own to-do app and manually copy that and paste it, which is even more work than actually creating a task for myself in the first place. The selling point of this is that you just wear it, you go about your day, you speak to yourself out loud, and this captures all those things. The team knows that, so they added this reminders page. When you say you're going to do something, it appears here right away, not necessarily at the end of the day. It's like a suggestion, it's not a task. If it's not relevant, I can just delete it. For example, the Bitword into key pass migration, that's something that I actually want to do. So I can just add that. And now it's an actual task. Then there's a way, supposedly, to filter and see only the active tasks. I say supposedly because on iPhone, thankfully, this seems to work fine. But on Android, it just doesn't. You tap here and nothing happens. And it is so frustrating. Something that you might have noticed is that it even writes a message. So if the thing that you said you want to do is reaching out to someone or sending an email, then it actually writes a message for them that you can send them. Now, that's a really cool touch, but it's never written in the way that I would write it. I would never send this. And this is not even a work task. This is a personal task. I was going to send this to my friend. Like, I sent a message and said, hey, do you want to build this? I saw this. I thought it was a cool idea. You might want to incorporate it into that other thing that you're making. And that was it. It's not like, would you be open to sharing the component or collaborating briefly? Can we discuss over a quick call? Like, no, my was completely different. Now, I'm not expecting the app to know all that. Maybe it would be asking too much. But it's not as useful as you might first imagine, unless everything you say to the pendant is in a work context. But even then, you probably don't write like this, right? So let me show you a couple of things that I have asked it and how it did. One thing that I asked was, considering the challenges I'm facing at work, what books do you recommend that I read? That day, I was talking with someone about how my new job requires a mindset shift compared to the previous one, project management, startups, and all that. This is an actual thing that I wanted to ask because I like reading books that are relevant to what's going on in my life. So I asked it, and it pulled up some quotes about work, and then it recommended a bunch of books. I'm happy to say that this one inspired. I read it, and it is great. It is exactly the kind of thing that I was looking for. There's a few others here that I have not gotten to yet. Notably, there's Getting Real by Basecamp, which I wanted to read anyway and I had kind of forgotten about. So I thought, oh yeah, I should read that book. This is the one I'm reading next. Then I went to ChatGPT and asked the same thing, but I also described my situation. It suggested almost exactly the same books, which makes sense. So the only advantage to using Limitless is that you don't have to explain your situation. It can figure out your situation by itself. But sometimes it doesn't work that well. So are you really gaining anything? I don't know. But I thought this was pretty cool and actually helpful because I find the book recommendations on point. Here's another example that didn't go so well. There was a lot of noise at the time, so it's to be expected that the pendant was not recording that well. But that's not really what I didn't like. I asked about a discussion that I had because for some reason it was not part of my daily summary. I remembered that I had that discussion and I wanted to have it summarized. So I asked the chat and it gave me a top level summary of what was said. But there was something else that I remembered saying that it seemed to have not caught. So I say, did you catch that? And it searches. It turns out that it had actually not caught that. It was not in the transcripts at all, which again, to be expected. But my problem is that it says, yes, your life logs show that you did make that offer, even though they don't. I guess you can say the life logs suggest or support the idea that maybe I would say something like that, but it was not actually in the logs. What I think it should have said is, I cannot find that in the transcripts, but based on the rest of the things that you said, it's likely that you probably said that as well. To show you how it sometimes completely makes things up, I was in a video call and I had the pendant listening. I say, hey, I just finished a video call about work. Can you summarize what we said? It made it all up. I didn't say any of it. So it said that we investigated flaky tests and evaluated migrating slow end-to-end tests into a dedicated E2E runner to improve CI stability. I don't know what that means. There's no way I said something like that. This was not said at all. The only positive thing I can say is that at least the pendant didn't pull out any quotes. It didn't say, well, you said blah, blah, blah. It just said, well, the summary is this. But the summary was made up. And I understand that because of how LLMs work, it's probably hard to ever get that hallucination rate to zero. But for a device that's supposed to summarize your meetings, I feel that it's vitally important that it doesn't make things like that up. It happens like 20% of the time, maybe 10%, but even 10% is a huge percentage when you rely on this to transcribe things that you would otherwise forget. Like, imagine if it says, oh yeah, you said you were going to do this, or oh, this person asked you to do that, and it's made up. And you will think, oh, thank God that the pendant reminded me because I had forgotten. But you didn't forget. It's like it never happened. So remember when I gave that example of, let's say my mom gave me a recipe, and then if I ask what recipe did my mom give me, it's not necessarily going to know that it was my mom that said that. Well, the way this works is that you can assign speakers to the transcript, and it's supposed to do that by itself, at least when you are speaking. But look here. So these are the things that I was just saying during the review. And you can see that there's no speaker assigned. So how this works is you select these, right? And then you say, this was me. And you confirm, and then the pendant knows that it was you. Let's say this one was set by my mom. Then if I ask it, what did my mom say about that? It's going to know that it's my mom. The thing is, even for me, whose voice it's supposed to recognize, it didn't know it was me, let alone my mom, whom it hears talking very little. If you go to the settings, it has this feature called saved voices. And another that says your voice, it guides you through setting that up when you first set up the pendant. So my voice, at least, it should be recognizing. And then whenever you start tagging somebody new, you create a new speaker and assign them. If you label at least 20 seconds of speech, it's supposedly going to start recognizing their voice automatically, but it does not. In this case, it's easy to change because I know for a fact that the only person speaking 3 minutes ago was me. So I can go here. I have to expand them. How do I assign the speaker? Wait, like this. Okay, so like this. But if I get this, then I cannot assign a speaker. So I have to select the chunks, even if I select all of them this way. But this way it's not working. Anyway, see, it has those little quirks. But in this case, I can go and say, yeah, this was me. And I know for a fact that it was me. The problem is when you're having a conversation, you don't remember exactly what you said and what they said, especially if it's things like, yeah, right, I agree. Now, you don't know if you said it or if they said it. So you would have to listen to the recording. You can go here and you click play. The funny thing is that was not possible until recently, at least on Android. So this is a screenshot that I took a few days ago, and you can see there's no play button. The only way for me to check who said that was to download the audio. It wouldn't even download the file to my files. It would ask me to send it to somebody else. So I would send it to myself through a messaging app, and then I would listen to it and delete it. That is like crazy bad user experience. And the worst thing is that often it would say failed to download audio. So then I had no idea who said what. And I knew that a lot of those were wrongly assigned. For example, I'd be having a conversation with my partner who has a very different voice than me. And it would mark all of them as being said by me, even though our voices, to human ears at least, they're nothing alike. They're very different. And then it would say, you said blah, blah, blah. So I would manually go and select that one thing. In a conversation, it means that I would go here and everything would say Anna, Anna, Anna. And I know that some of these are not me. So I would try to remember. I think this one was said by him. I'm not sure, but I'm fairly confident. So then I would go and say that was my partner. And the reason I tried to do that was so the insights would be correct. If it thinks I said some things that I didn't say, then the insights are not going to be right. But also, I didn't want it to get even worse going forward. The idea is that if you assign a speaker, it gets better at recognizing their voice the more speech you assign to them. If my partner said this, but the pendant thinks that I said that, then it reinforces to the app that that is my voice, and it's not. So I wanted to go here and correct that and say, actually, that is not my voice. But it's impossible to do that because I opened the app at the end of the day and I have a lot of text here, like a lot of text. And I would have to manually go and select every single sentence that my partner has said to make it right. And it was like, there's no way I'm going to do that. It would be one thing if there was no assigned speaker. So this one, in this case, I assigned everything to myself just now. But yeah, here, see, there's no assigned speaker. I think that's fine. Like if you're not sure, no assigned speaker, okay. But a lot of the time, it thinks it's me, but it's not me. It's somebody else, not just my partner. It's like other random people on the street. Or sometimes I speak and it doesn't know it's me. So then in the daily insights, if I ask something, it says, unknown speaker said blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, unknown speaker, that was me. So this creates so much administrative overhead for me that the use case I was excited about, basically having this on all the time, so that it would remind me about the things that I forget. That use case is kind of working. It's like, I guess 90% working, but 10% not working. And also there's so much administrative things that I have to do to make it work that it's not really worth it for me right now. Let me show you with screenshots what that process looked like. This was a discussion with my partner. I manually went through it and said, these are my partner. Great, if you record more, we're gonna recognize his voice automatically. Eventually I did, and then I tried to assign. So then as I kept doing this, like finding things that he said and assigning them to his speaker, I started getting this error all the time. Could not assign speaker, lifelog has changed. It doesn't make sense, right? And it doesn't tell you how to fix that. And there are so many of these errors, at least on Android, that they make the app really frustrating. Like it makes me want to throw my phone at the wall. And then what it does often, and this is a thing that is not really going to affect you if you only speak English, is that it labels everything as a Greek conversation. I'm Greek. So in my household, I mostly speak Greek. And then this summary that it creates, instead of being useful like the English ones, like this English one says review of the pendant. So useful, a discussion, uploading, transcribing recordings from the pendant. If I'm scrolling, I can make out what this is about, and that's helpful. But then each time I say something in Greek, that is just recorded as a conversation in Greek or an interjection in Greek. What was the interjection about? That's not helpful to me because most of the things I say are in Greek. The app transcribes almost every language. It's not as good with other languages as it is with English, but it's decent. Sometimes it is extremely accurate, and other times it is catastrophically wrong. It does transcribe everything, and it is mostly fairly accurate enough to give you good material upon which to base insights and reminders. No matter how many languages you speak, these summaries have to be in the same language. Here in the settings, you can choose that language. But if you choose English, then everything that's not English is summarized as a German conversation, a Greek conversation. Presumably, if I had chosen Greek as my language, then everything I say in English would be an English conversation. And what's really funny is that it gives you the option to customize these things, right? So I went here, and where it says anything else we should know about you, I say, don't mention the language of an exchange in the summaries because I speak 3 languages and I don't care what language it was said in. I just care about what was said. And then it's not following that. And you know what's even funnier? So in the first iteration, Greek was the first language. So I said Greek, English, and German. After I did that, I noticed all my daily insights started being in Greek, even though I did not ask for that. That's another bug because it says summarize in English. But then if you get the summaries in Greek, which I never asked for, I went back to the customization page and made English the first language. And now it's back to English insights. Now, for the sake of completeness, I want to mention a few more things that it doesn't do that well. Search is not great. I know for a fact that I've said this word countless times. It means kitten in Greek. For some reason, it's not showing up in my results. I suspect that maybe the transcript does not include the stress mark, or that it didn't transcribe it right. For whatever reason, I cannot count on the search to be accurate, even if I know that I said a specific word. And then this example here, I was actually singing to myself. These are the lyrics to a song called You're Gonna Go Far, Kid. The pendant does not know if you're singing or if TV is playing. It just transcribes speech. So in this case, it says, hey, you had some reflections on societal dynamics, but I didn't. This is just the song. So you can imagine how if you're listening to music or singing and forget to turn this off temporarily, then you would have to go to your phone right away to delete that. Otherwise, you're not going to remember a few hours later when that was that you were singing, and then you would have to scroll far down to find it. If you forget to remove it, your daily insights for that day will be full of insights on societal dynamics and so forth. If you don't do it within the same day, by the next day, the insights for the previous day will have already been created. Insights appear here and in the chats at the end of the day. So if I go to today, you're going to see there are no insights. And it says they're generated overnight, but it doesn't tell you when. So if midnight comes, there are not going to be any insights. 3 a.m., 5 a.m., no insights. So it seems like it does it either very late into the night, early into the next day, or maybe it recognizes when you're done, but still anything after midnight is going to count as the following day. And there's no setting for that. This is a little thing that bothers me. I cannot say that my day ends at 3 a.m. And something that bothers me incredibly is that you scroll down to see a timeline of what you said that day. And as you're scrolling down on Android, it's very easy to accidentally scroll to the left instead. So what happens on Android is you scroll to the left and then you're like, oh no, I didn't want to scroll. And you go back, it loads again, and it takes a lot of time. So another thing that bothers me is how long it takes to load. This was actually pretty fast, considering other times it's even slower. If I want to go to the previous day, it takes a long time to load. And if I go to the previous day accidentally and try to go back, it loads again. On Android, when I'm trying to scroll down, it scrolls to the left. On iPhone, it doesn't happen as much. Maybe OS takes better care of that. Or the app is optimized better, but it still happens. Why does it load again? Why is this not saved in its memory? It feels like they could load the first part of that. It could always be there. It could be cached. So you could quickly scroll through your days, but you can't. This bothers me because this app is something you use all the time, that you come back to, that you open repeatedly to adjust things or check things or do your to-dos. It is so slow on iPhone. I think it's slow, but it's not excruciatingly slow. On Android, it's a totally different story. Like, honestly, if I weren't excited about new tech, I wouldn't be using it. It's so frustratingly slow. Let me start ending this by mentioning a few positive things. The daily insights are a great sign for how useful it can be. Sometimes it creates a really accurate summary of your day. It's like an automatic journal that I don't have to write, it's just there. So then if I'm like, hey, when did I finish making this app? I can see that it was today. Or this thing, like the Pebble App Store, I had kind of forgotten about it. And now I'm like, oh yeah, the Pebble App Store. And I got excited about it again. Or it catches things that I hear or that people tell me that I would otherwise completely forget. Like this thing, I had forgotten about it. Or my partner was telling me about some things that he was doing to the car or going to do to the car. And because I'm not a car person, I had already forgotten what they are. But now I can go back and say, oh yeah, he said he was going to do that thing, which is good context for me to have sometimes. And what I find the most useful, and it would be even more useful if there was a section for that in the app, like there is for reminders, is the ideas. So as you're talking throughout your day, you're definitely going to have ideas about things, or you might say, we should do that. All of that goes into a section in your daily insights page. In your daily insights, that's called Idea Sandbox. What I do now is I manually go create a note in my notes application. But the cool thing is that this is exactly the kind of thing you say those things throughout the day. You're like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we had that thing? But then because you're walking on the train, cooking, or doing something else, you cannot open your phone and write it down. And then 30 minutes later, you forget. But this doesn't forget. So at the end of the day, it says, hey, these are all of the ideas that you had. Do you want to save any of them? It's inviting you to take a look at the ideas you had and evaluate them. And if you like something, then you could note it down. On that note, I think some people might rightfully say, do you really need to remember all that? Like all of these things, do you need to remember they were said in this way? Does it matter if you had an idea that you didn't note down? You have so many ideas and so few hours in a day, you cannot get to everything. What point is it collecting all this information if you're not going to do anything with it? Maybe you're right. Maybe we don't need to collect all of this information. Maybe it all goes to waste. Maybe it gives us this sense that we're on top of things when in reality nothing has changed. In fact, usually you make more progress and you are happier with your life as well when you do fewer things, when you think about fewer things, when there's less information and fewer notes in your life. The reason I got this pendant in the first place, it was not for these insights, even though I think they're very cool and marketable. It was for the transcripts. I didn't plan to have this be an app that I open every day and check out. I thought that it would just exist in the background and I would never check it unless I had a very specific question. Like if somebody told me I should watch that movie, what was the name of the movie? Or if a friend mentions something about their life and then I'm not sure if I remember everything. So before I see them again, I can ask the app, what did I talk about with my friend the last time that I saw them? That kind of thing. And to be honest, with all these features and the reminders and the to-dos, I had almost forgotten that that was the reason I got it. My takeaway was in the beginning of the video, but basically, if you are excited about this tech and you just want to try it for yourself, then go for it. But if you actually want what it promises, even though it mostly delivers, because it's not trustworthy, I would not buy this. If you want to rely on this for meeting notes, you're better off using an app for that and a normal recording app just so it captures everything. That said, I'm excited for the pendant. And I think even if this specific device by this specific company does not get better, it's a very promising concept. It has potential. If you watched all this and you're thinking, man, I want to experience this for myself, I want to see if my life is any different, if I feel any different. I want to see what it's like to have your day summarized. I want an automatic journal. I want to live that. Then buy it. And for everybody else, I would say, don't buy it. I hope this was helpful, and I'm really curious, what do people think? Do you think this is creepy? Would you like to buy this? Are you going to wait? Did you know of another device that works better? Let me know in the comments.